On airplane mode. Hey, we are back.
We found ourselves again.
I had a spam call that kicked us off, and then I learned how to turn my phone on airplane mode, so they can't call me now. But okay, so I'm with Susanna Lee Jacobson, and she is the main director, I'm getting the name wrong again, of Keeper Family Recovery.
Kearith Family Recovery.
Kearith
Yeah.
Family Recovery. Kearith.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get it.
We're going to get 1 point.
I'm going to get it. And we are at O'Bannon Woods in Corden, Indiana, in Harrison County. I'm at the building where I had sixth grade camp, so I'm getting all the feels.
You get all the feels.
I really, really love sixth grade camp. It was with Galena Elementary, which that school was torn down. It's next to Floyd Central. And I had just the best camp experience. So I still remember, like, I think I did a leaf collection in this room.
I would not be surprised. We actually have been doing like rock collections and leaf collections. Some of the other activities we've been doing, like STEM. So we actually have been doing like slime building and
I saw the slime thing.
Collecting journals, and we're using like rocks and natural
I
leaves.
saw some of the journals just now.
Yes.
Okay, so Susanna, for the last week she had boys camp.
Yep.
And this week is girls camp, and they fully fund kids to get to come to a week of camp, and it's kids that are affected by incarceration and addiction. So their family members have had that in their lives. So these kids have had an extra rough start.
And it's a lot of really, really big stories, because I think sometimes when we picture, it's hard to put a name to the face to the story sometimes when you hear something like that. And it's like, oh, it's just a little something, like it hurts and it's an ouch. But these are kids that have actually given Narcan to their caretakers.
I just found out what Narcan was like
Yes.
a couple weeks ago.
Like there are 6-year-olds I've met who have been trained in Narcan care and know how to give it to their adults. There's kiddos that have witnessed rape, suicides, and overdoses, and losing family members to gang violence. So it's a big blanket of ouch that like these.
So these kids have not, it's not just they've had a rough start. They've had a traumatic start.
They've had a very traumatic
And
start.
I would say a lot of these kids have grown up in survival mode most of their life, or a big chunk of their life, where they're just trying to get food, clothing, shelter, a safe place to be. So your camp focuses, you have therapy and you have like, you know, you have that space, which is very needed, but you also do something that is so incredible. You do creative arts, you do theater, music, artwork, crafts.
All the things. Well, something that's really important. Do you mind if I give like a little quick presentation?
I would love that.
Okay, so let's just pretend my hand is your brain, or any person's brain right here. This is where all of our like breathing, how to hear, our basic functions are right here in the lower level. And this part right here, our thumb, is our flight, our fight, our fleas, our fraught, all of these things right here. Most of the time when you're thinking creatively or like thinking correctly, like it's all closed in right here, like that. When you have a child who is more or less lid flipped, this is the only way that they're thinking.
So they're only thinking about the survival.
They're only thinking about their survival.
Fight or flight, or whatever.
The reason why we're so focused on the creative side is that trauma and creativity lives in the same part of the brain. So if you flip them down into creative mode, you're connecting them to a creative way to approach their traumatic experiences that's in a safe environment that doesn't have to involve their instant survival responses.
So their brains aren't fully formed yet because they're still children.
They're still children.
They've been very negatively impacted by their life. And this is an actual tested scientific way to help them process the terrible things that they've gone through and to recover.
This is a special program that I helped design with the Fred Rogers Institute out in Philadelphia. So if anyone knows Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, shout out to Fred and the Trolley and Daniel Tiger. I actually have access to them. So
that's cool.
Long story short, when I got 40 Under 40 for Louisville's Business First 2022, the Institute actually reached out to me and be like, hey, we heard about this program.
That's amazing.
And it's just like, if we give you access to the vault, what would you do with it? And we were already doing a lot of creative stuff, but this just like launched us into a brand new development program. So it's more than just, we're bringing the neighborhood to a whole new generation who's never had a chance to go to the neighborhood of make-believe before.
Right. It seems like it would be very wonderful to witness. Sad, like you have to be able, and I know you a little bit now, And so I can see that you're very capable, but you have to be a very strong person because you're hearing stories that are incredibly sad.
Yes.
Like it would be hard to not just break down and cry or to be like, this is too much for me, but you can handle it. So you're hearing stories and you're able to help these kids see some light, see some vision through creative play, be able to open up to a new world they didn't know was possible. The world of finding their dreams and living a life not just stuck in survival mode.
Absolutely. And it's also about finding your story too. Like so many of our young people, and I've talked to CASA workers and things like that, they're all in a space of like so many of our young people have been told their story doesn't matter. Or if you tell your story, something bad's going to happen to the family. You have to keep it quiet. You have to keep it secret. And secrets are safe and important for us. So we have to protect our families as much as possible. If we find harm or danger, we're definitely going to communicate that to the proper.
So that's a big part of teaching the kids what is okay to keep secret and what is not, and make sure they're protecting themselves.
And also just making sure that they're doing the best to assure that they're keeping themselves safe, but also giving them coping skills so they can start finding ways to share their story in a safe space and not take it for granted.
It's so amazing what you're doing. I'm sure it's a very careful balance of you have this many days. Is it 5 days or is it a week?
5 days altogether. Now there is a leadership camp program. So if you're older, like 14 plus, we actually have a program where you get to join us all summer long. And that's when we get the older kids who eventually become support staff, transition to counselors.
So you have a lot of kids that went to the program. They came maybe multiple years, and then they join as counselors later on.
Oh, yes. And that makes it all the more fun because then you get counselors like, hey, I was where you were at.
Right. And they really can identify with what these kids have been through because they've been through something similar.
Yes.
That's really beautiful. So I really love the interaction of older kids as counselors helping the younger kids.
It's so fun. Hi, Brett.
We're doing a live show right now, but
we're doing a live. Hey, can we use the fan over there? That's the other cool one.
Sorry.
Sorry. No, it's okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I bet there's a lot of big emotions.
There can be some big emotions sometimes, yes.
Because probably these kids haven't felt safe to show the emotions until maybe into this camp or,
And we work really, really hard. Like like tomorrow's our birthday party. So it's a huge day of celebration for their kids. So everyone's getting gifts. Tomorrow is, because it's Girls with Goods Princess Party. So there's a lot of gowns and things like that. It's really fun. And it's just a huge celebration. And then we pull that trust in for our Thursday night, which is a chance for them to potentially leave things behind. Like, I hate to say, like, some camps have a traditional like cry night that they have. And maybe this is a little bit like that, but it's more sacred than that. This is what hurts? What do you need to let go of?
That's so important. Yes. Letting go of the hurt, because all of these kids, we all have. I didn't grow up in anything like that, but I still had to let go of hurt. So we all have things we need to let go of. So that seems very important. I think adults need that.
So we are actually threatening of doing some adult programs for this too, because we've been talking to like recovery centers and other restorative houses in the community of like, hey, is this something that the adults want to do and play with?
I would want to, because once you reach adulthood, you're not allowed to do play as much unless you're like an actor, you're in theater, you do the arts. You see adults doing it, but culturally, you're supposed to be a grown up.
But everyone wants to be a fairy or a Jedi.
I dressed up as a princess at your Princess Bride Theme Gala, and I had a lot of fun. Yeah. So this is really beautiful. I just watched right when I got here, they put on a little performance, and that was your counselors.
Yes.
And then they did a song, and then they went out to eat dinner.
Go to eat dinner. Tonight we're going to be doing Shaving Cream War, so that's going to be the big activity for the night.
That sounds fun. And then they get showers and go to bed after that, I guess.
For the most part, yeah. We'll have like a hero's journey conversation, so just like kind of like finishing up their story for the night.
So I guess every year you have certain things you definitely do, and then you kind of change up the theme and you change up some of the activities, but some things stay the same.
Yes. So like this year is kind of more of a fairy, almost Renaissance fair theme. This next year we want to do another Star Wars story.
Oh, nice.
So the Jedi are coming back. There's a threat of maybe doing a mystery theme camp, maybe like Gravity Falls, kind of like stuff. So we'll see if that actually works. So we have things planned out 3-4 years.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
And you put on a gala,
Mhm.
like a fundraiser at the Grand every
Yeah.
year.
We try to, yeah. So
Yours was in the spring because I went to it. So I'll definitely want to know about that and let people know so they can come to that if they want. That's fun. It's so much more fun than the other like political galas I have to go to. It's so fun.
well, and I think that's something I would say for our generation and the upcoming generation who wants to get involved with things, because there are some really amazing honoring events. But I think the traditional model works for some things.
I don't know. There's only so long I can listen to people talk about political speeches.
But but we want to be the fun people.
You're the fun.
We
This
want to
is
be
the fun,
ones.
and you get to dress up if you want.
So it's like, rather than like, let's do another speech, let's do another story, let's actually do something where everyone has a chance to play it. Like the adults, the community gets to play it
So
too.
if you love what Susanna does for a few hundred kids every year
Mhm.
in our community in Southern Indiana, and you have some money that you'd like to donate, how could they do that?
So you can go to curefamilyrecovery.org. There is a donate button right up there. And actually I can probably put
And you have a Facebook page
we
too.
do have a Facebook
I'll try to
page.
tag that on here.
So a couple of big ways, like get it to us directly, is through the website. It's about $300 to fully sponsor a
Kid for a week? That's a pretty good price.
We have an amazing
I
collection.
bet you got a lot of people donating. I'm just so appreciative of everybody that helps us out. I love how it's bipartisan. I just feel like as a society, sometimes we don't want to look at these kids. We don't want to think that they exist because it's too sad.
Mhm.
And you're in here. You're in here listening to these kids. Sometimes they're crying. Sometimes they're working through trauma, and you're helping them process it in a way they can handle.
Yeah.
Because a lot of adults don't want to do therapy because they don't want to go to these dark places. You're doing a dark place in a better way.
Hey Cameron, how are we doing?
Good.
So, yeah, we're going to do more because I want to talk to you more about helping our children deal with hard things
Mhm.
as life gets hard, which I think it is very hard for a lot of people in our community, especially if you are lower income. You know a lot of cheap, inexpensive ways to help children.
Oh,
You know,
Well, I mean, like the most important part is like if you can have fun and you're willing to listen. And I think that also too, when you have like a kid who's flipped, and so many of our kids come to us with, and you try to speak logic into them, you can't speak logic to a flip. You have to close it up. You have
Right.
to like get it back to the safe spot, right?
so it's work it through plays, skits, songs, creative art.
If you focus on the why rather than the what happens, that always like makes the biggest difference.
That's really beautiful. I'm really glad to get to come to this camp for a few minutes and just to see a little bit about what you do, because you've been talking about it and I've also seen some videos and it's exactly like I hoped it would be.
Oh yes.
Like and there was more kids here than I realized too.
Oh yeah. Well, we have a.
Oh yeah, what's the age group?
Well, our youngest that'll usually go to day camp. Our youngest, I think this year will probably be about 4-ish, 4
Oh,
or 5
wow.
years old. So that's as young as we'll take them for the day camp program. But our oldest is 17, 18.
So the day camp, they don't spend the night.
No, we usually partner with a local church community or like.
Oh, that's nice.
affiliate.
So they come and like pick them up and drop them
Just
off.
for a couple of hours.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
it's a
So you'll take
smaller
it all the way to
introduction.
4, and then what age do they start staying at camp? Stay here.
About 8, but then we've also had experiences where we'll have like 7-year-olds and like sneak in just because they want to have a little bit of fun. It's always really, really.
So
cool.
around 8, they get to spend the night and have a
Mhm.
week of camp. Yeah, that's really beautiful. And then they can come back the next year.
Oh yeah, as many times as long as they don't get so sick of us, we'll keep inviting them in because like consistency is key.
Yeah, I think when you guys are struggling, because I know I've had a rough week. It really makes me feel better to know that people like you and the counselor, you're doing this beautiful thing, and it's such a hard thing.
Yes.
You're making it beautiful and fun and incredible, but you're dealing with really big things.
You do need to have a heart transplant like almost immediately afterwards. So like probably.
Is it devastating when they leave you and is that what you're saying? It's hard when they go because you're like, I hope they're going to be okay. You got a whole year. Maybe you'll see them next year.
Oh yeah. Well,
Maybe they'll move.
Well,
you know.
there's never promises, and I always like try to tell them like Friday, as we're saying goodbye, I always have to ask the question like, "Are you going to come back?" Like, there's no promises, but try to make this your Ebenezer stone if possible.
So try to come back, try to make effort to come
Try
back.
to make, don't lose hope. Sometimes we've had kiddos that have lost hope, but like, it's okay. We're going to make it as much as possible.
Hope would be a hard thing if your life growing up is not hope.
Yes.
And these kids, they're not first. Like my children, I put them first a lot,
Mm-hmm.
like more than they need to be, honestly. And these kids don't get that.
Well, and we also have some amazing caretakers. We have like grandparents that
Yes.
stepped into the gap,
Right.
Raising the next generation.
Yeah, when someone gets arrested for addiction, what happens to their children?
Mm-hmm.
It's a big.
Well, and you also have to think, if a grandparent is raising a grandchild, usually they're doing it with less energy, less resources than the first one, and maybe they're putting their hands up in the air of like, well, do I feel like I messed up with the first round? Like,
Yeah, it's got to be painful. Yeah, I actually know grandparents that have done this. I bet we all have.
Yes.
We all know grandparents that have taken on their grandkids because something has happened and the parents can't raise them right now. And it's a hard, sticky situation. And instead of being judgmental, you're just doing everything you can to help. And I just wish as a culture we were more like that, less judgmental, more empathy.
I think one of the reasons why it's hard to talk about, though, is that so there's a guesstimate that for every person who is dealing with substance addiction or been incarcerated, there's about 8 to 9 other people in that circle that have been affected. So there's a very strong chance, especially with Indiana and Kentucky being number 1 and number 2 in the country.
With what?
Parental incarceration.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Indiana and Kentucky are one.
So the national average is about 1 out of 28 have experienced a parental incarceration.
1 in 28 kids?
1 out of 28 kids have experienced
nationally.
Kentucky's number 1, which makes us 1 out of 11. And Indiana gets close to 1 out of 12.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Ohio, I think, is number 3. There's just something
about
Ohio.
So this area.
This area is just, we're prime. Now, it's not the most, keep in mind, but like on a spectrum about per capita, we're taking the lead on the country.
Just FYI, I have a phone call from somebody wonderful that works for an organization that's trying to help with people that are incarcerated in Indiana.
Yes.
So I'm going to get more facts on that soon. I bet you already know all of them.
We can only wonder, like, I have some research underhand.
So this is impacting a lot of kids in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So can we get 1,000 of these camps in here so every kid can, I bet that's how you feel, don't you? Don't you want every...
That's the dream. So it's just like, we're really fortunate that we have a lot of other Prison Fellowship Angel Tree camps that we associate with. So yes, we're just like one small group that's doing a little thing, but there's so many others of us that are doing something similar. But yeah, like if I could, like the eventual hope is like we're renting this facility here. I would just love to have
this. Yeah, wouldn't that be amazing?
All year round.
Wouldn't that be great if somebody was watching that was, had tons of money and was like, isn't this an amazing place? Let's give them some money,
20 acres, like just 20 acres.
Yeah.
That's all I need. Transform some lives.
I've talked to you before because we went out to lunch a couple months ago. It was really fun. And you mentioned that, like, if you had money, what you would do. And it's like, the wrong people are getting money. Some of the right people are, sometimes they do amazing things.
We can just hope that they're doing the right thing with their time and their treasure and their talent.
And this is a great place to do that for. So I love this group. I actually know some of the kids involved. That was a big surprise and very loving to my heart. Actually, know you've already helped children that I know.
Yes.
I think that's so. Thank you.
Oh,
I didn't even know you were doing this for years, and here you are, just working behind the scenes, loving these kids that I also care about.
Absolutely.
I saw the kids. They are so sweet and adorable. They're so well behaved.
Well, we have a great group of campers this week.
So yes, but it's just I wish that I could just pause my life and just come live here for a week and do this with you. But sometimes, I've got my own stuff, but I'm just really thankful. And if you want to get involved, talk to Susanna Lee Jacobson. She's on Facebook.
Yeah.
She tries to get to know, like you came up and met me and you were dressed up as a fairy and I didn't know who you were and you told me some things and I was like, I didn't really, but thankfully you came up to me again and then I got it. It took me a couple.
I mean, there's a lot of information to dig into. So it's just like there's a plethora of resources.
I'm so glad Fairy Susanna came up to me. It's very nice.
I get to be Fairy Susanna tomorrow. It's going to be very exciting.
You look really cute.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I haven't worn the ears. I just wore your princess outfit and I liked it. So I think wearing the ears would be really fun.
What would it take to get our Tim Peck to wear some ears?
I don't think it would take much at all.
Not much at all?
No, he's pretty brave. He's just busy.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
So maybe one of these times,
co-founder Tim Peck.
We get through the camp season, and then maybe I give Tim like a fairy makeover on camera. Just like I think this needs to be.
I think that would help his life. Actually,
I think
it would help my life to see
absolutely.
it. Wouldn't you guys like to see Dr. Timothy Peck, co-founder, running for Congress, writes books about healthcare? You know, wouldn't that be fun to see him as a fairy?
I think we can do that. I think this is a thing. I have a shirt and everything for him.
Oh. Let's do this.
We're going to do this. It's going to be
so you're going to be on more. I also want to talk about you actually had a pretty terrible accident with a truck that affected your brain. And I already think you're incredible enough, but you've lived through some stuff and your brain actually is not 100%. And you're still doing a live with me right now. Yeah. So it's incredible. You're incredible.
So back in 2021, I got hit by a semi. Full stop. They just smacked into the back of me. My autistic son was in the back seat, so it was.
Is he okay?
He was good. I mean, he got scared. So I mean, as far as we can tell, no harm or foul in hand. So I had full whiplash where I banged my head 4 times on.
Oh wow.
The dashboard. So I was concussed. I lost feeling in my hands for about 3 or 4 months, so I actually had lost feeling in my nerves. And it's taken a little while. We've done a couple of psych evaluations, but looks like I've actually lost about 23% of my brain capacity.
You're so amazing. I've only known you since the accident, so I can't compare what you used to be like, but I'm so sorry that happened to you.
It's a big, I'm thankful for my team because
I'm thankful you're alive.
I'm thankful to be alive.
I'm thankful your son is okay.
Yes. But.
So I want to talk about that. I want to do a deep dive because you are very mentally strong. Your life has been rough. I know just some things, and I know that the toughness in your life and how you've handled it in the most healthy way possible has made you able to run this camp. And I think that's really beautiful.
Well, I think it's also important to train people. I'm not a victim. That's
really you're so right.
It's just I'm a victor, not a victim.
Stuff happened to you and you don't let it, you don't say, I can't do this thing today because I had this accident. You can't say, I'm not doing a live because I might say something wrong because my brain doesn't work at 100% anymore. You refuse to think that way.
If I freeze or there's a spinny ball of death, that kind of
I don't
happens,
care.
and I look like a computer for a little while. That's just been
I'll just pick up on it. Yeah, one time you told me your age wrong, and then you're like, "I'm sorry, I'm having a thing." And I'm like, "Oh, this must be your brain thing."
Yeah, that's my brain thing.
But then you got up in front of the gala in front of hundreds of people and delivered the most beautiful speech in just a couple minutes. So
it's well scripted. I rehearse a lot right before big events.
But this we're not rehearsing.
Oh, well, this is also a script too.
Well, that's true. But I'm just saying I'm impressed with you and I'm thankful you're doing what you're doing. And yeah, not being a victim is something Brian Zimmerman, the Special Forces vet, who's had more trauma than anybody I've ever met.
I've heard some great stories about him.
Before his feet hit the ground, he thinks of 10 things he's thankful for. He refuses to take the pity, sorry, poor me victim route when he very much could.
Yeah.
And he has more reason to than other people. So I think what you're saying, I've been trying to do since I met Brian, and it's made my life better. Refuse to be like, poor me. Oh, this doesn't work. I've got all these other things. I'm so blessed. Or, this thing's happened. It's like,
well, I mean, things are going to happen. Everyone has had traumatic experience happen in their life. There's no way you're going to get.
There's no way unless you're living by yourself, and then you're going to be messed up from that.
So we all have choices. You can either get bitter or you can get better. I would prefer to live better because I have too many good things going for me right now. It's yes, do I wish I had my brain back? Absolutely. were there things from my childhood and things from like my adulthood that I wish never happened, and things from my teenhood that I wish never happened to me? No, but those are the building blocks that's made me who I am. They're the things that have helped me find the pieces to connect to other people. You know, I had a surgery a couple of years ago where I actually had a traumatic, we've actually talked about this. So like I had an ectopic pregnancy.
Oh yeah.
And it was one of those ectopic pregnancies that I was 24 hours from bleeding out. And I remember having this conversation with like God on the table where I was just like, you know, you could have moved the child, you could have done anything right here. And I remember going under, and he was saying, I'm going to give you more kids than you know what to deal with. He's giving me more kids than I know what to do with.
Yep.
So
yep.
it all works out. So it's just like, you really just can't.
I'm just so grateful you've made it, you survived. And also because of the things that you could have chosen to be a victim about have happened to you, and you've dealt with them in this beautiful way, you're able to handle these kids and their trauma, and you understand really well how to help them work through it. So you're rare, and I'm glad you're running this.
Yes.
I'm glad you started the camp. I wish we had a bunch more of you, but I'm glad we have the one of you.
Well, if anyone's ever interested, I'd be more than happy to train people into the program.
You're clearly doing a great job. You're in here while they're running everything, and they're doing a fantastic job.
Great.
So good job training people.
Well, and like some of the, like, you know, again, we have some amazing people who've gone through amazing, hard, difficult things. We have 2 young men whose brother was murdered in a gang-based violence thing right in front of their house. And they moved to the area, and they're now taking care of the kids here full time. So, I mean, like, you have kids that were punks more or less in the high school era, and they're just like, hey, we've processed all the process things that we need to do there, and now they're serving. We've had people graduate high school for the first time and moving on to secondary programs in college.
And you probably get kids realizing they did things morally wrong in the need to survive, and processing that and being like, you know, it's okay.
And
You're
you
a
have to be
kid.
accepting of those too.
You messed up. You didn't know better. How do we work through it?
We meet everyone where they're at. Like, you know, you would give the same type of grace to like a loved one who's battling addiction, or, you know, they're bouncing in and out of recovery. Like, you got to give that same thing in prevention too.
I said this to Tony Hostetler, who is also a friend of yours, right?
Yes.
I love Tony very much. He works for Hoosier Action, and he works in the Care Not Cuffs chapter of Hoosier Action. So very similar. He's working with the adults when you're working with the kids. And something we talked about that I just think is so important. If you are judgmental about other people being on addiction, and you're openly judgmental in front of your children, wouldn't that hurt if your kids messed up and got addicted, of them coming to you? So I'm just throwing that out there, because in a more middle class, upper middle class, rich area, it's very faux pas to discuss it, or maybe you whisper and gossip about it. And I'm saying, why don't we just care about people?
But there's addicts and people struggling on every walk of life. Sometimes it's a little bit more hidden than others. But I
really am impressed with like celebrities that come out and say they faced a certain addiction, and
everyone's like, what? Wait.
I think that's really awesome, because they're so famous and they're willing to say it. Yeah, I'm just saying, let's love everybody. Let's be there for them. Don't let them hurt you if they're an addict. You know, there's all kinds of stuff going on, but make sure that our children know we love them no matter what. In case something happens, they feel like they're ready to come to us, you know, as parents.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah. So I've mentioned that to my kids, because I'm like, it's okay. You can't mess up too bad for me ever.
Just like bring it. This is all fixable.
Bring it.
Everything has
Everything's
to be fixable.
fixable. Yeah. And we can't control the terrible things that happen. You can't control that someone witnessed their family member murdered. You can't control that, but you can handle after.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just like, and you know, it takes some time. Like, you know, when something big has happened to a family, it's going to be multi-strand. There's going to be multiple things that are happening all at once, all at the same time.
So I had you turn off the air conditioning so we could hear it better, and it is approximately 8,000 degrees in here. So I'll go ahead and stop it now. But if you all wouldn't mind sharing this, if you all know kids that could enjoy this camp, is there a place on the website where they can fill something out?
Yeah, so we haven't set up anything for the incoming year just yet.
For next year.
Yeah,
So
we
we're
haven't
just
set
now
anything
doing
for
this year.
2026. So.
But be on the lookout.
Mhm.
for that website. And then if you want to give, go to their website.
Mhm. So it's
Kirith
Kirith Family
Kirith. I can't remember the word
You're
Kirith.
fine. Kirith Family Recovery.
It's on the information thing about this. Yes.
So after this finishes up, I'll just put it in the comment section.
Yeah, put it in the
direct
comments.
Link, so
Yeah.
people
And
look up.
I'll go back and put it in there too. Yeah. So you can help. Some of these kids have never celebrated a birthday before until they come here.
We've celebrated 70 first-time birthdays.
70.
2 last week.
I was gonna say that's more than you told me a few months ago.
Yes.
Every kid, what a joy to give them that.
Well, last week too, so because of our theme, we actually had our friends from the Louisville Knights come out.
Oh, yeah.
So we had friends in full
saw you.
armor come out, and then they did a knighting ceremony for the boys. So their presents were they got like foam swords and shields that they got to like paint and decorate and have their chivalry, and of course cloaks. So they all got knighted.
Just imagine them going after this camp, going home and pretending to be a knight.
Mhm.
The pretending to be the brave hero, I would think would be very therapeutic
they're
for them.
sworn in. They have to have high expectations of them now. So
That's really cute. You're amazing. Thank you for letting me be a tiny little piece of this beautiful camp. I'm really thankful for you. I'm thankful for everybody that donates. I'm thankful for everybody that is a part of it. All of the organizations that are helping with addiction, incarceration. I personally don't think throwing somebody in jail for a ton of years for addiction is the right way to go. I think that we should, yes, they probably at the time they need some sort of removal from hurting people, but I think there should be more training and more helping them so that they can become, with their parents, they can become good parents again, and they can have a stable job and get out and provide for their children and love their children.
Prevention, restorative justice circles, these are huge components of what we do. It's something that we love doing for the adults. We would love to bring more of these resources to like Floyd County and Harrison.
They're needed here.
Yes.
Like you just said, Kentucky and Indiana, the first two. That statistic is horrifying. Yeah. So we need more resources here. And if everybody in our community is safe, that makes us all safer. So when like the people that suffer the most are not safe, that makes the whole community not as safe. So it should be, it's not just we don't care about them because I'm not an addict. It's no, when we care about them, we bring the whole community up.
Well, we're also talking about our community story. So if we keep our story silent, this is something that's happening to us directly, present it, talk about it, bring it up with somebody. If it's our story and we're actually talking about it and we're willing to make changes about it, then it's not a secret anymore. You stop being the family that
would be so nice. What a relief to let that secret out.
To let it go. So
yeah, I totally can understand that. So thank you for everything. You can turn the air conditioning on, and I will have Susanna back in a little while after she recovers from. This is your biggest time in the year, right?
This is the big time of year. We're doing the big push, and then then I've taken the week-long nap, and then
so text me when you've recovered.
Yep.
And we will do some more, especially helping parents with kids that might have had something traumatic. How can we help them?
Oh, there's so many fun
And
ways.
then I want to get real deep into your car accident and your brain things and how you survive, because we all survive really terrible things, and I'm sure you have really good tips for us.
Okay, I'll do the best I can.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, you guys. Thanks so much for being on here, and please share and subscribe to our YouTube. And our Substack is Project Next Indiana. And we got 12 new subscriptions last week or whatever.
That's amazing.
So we're growing.
Congratulations.
So that's an easy way if you don't want to rely on just Facebook or YouTube. You could just get it in your email and here's the show. Do you want to watch it or listen to it as a podcast? You can do that too.
I love a good podcast.
We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and then Substack.
All the things.
Yes, but please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're at 556 subscribers.
Hey.
We're getting there.
Yeah. Just breathe. Anything big when you get to 1,000?
We're trying to get to 1,000.
What are we going to do?
Possibly make money. One day, Project.
We're gonna have to come up with what's the goal? How do we do? Does someone get pie? Do we get a water?
Oh yeah, like I get a pie in the face or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're good at that. See, I'm not thinking of these fun, creative things. We get 1,000 subscribers. Tim dresses up like a fairy.
Let's do that.
Yeah, maybe we'll hold that over because that sounds fun.
Yeah. Oh no.
I would subscribe 10 times if I could, but I've subscribed my one time.
Well, I'll add one more today, so that'll work out.
Oh yeah, that will help.
That'll help.
Okay. And then they're on Facebook, the organization, and you can go to their website. Bye guys. Love you all.